So our project's called RUGGEDISED. I'll tell you what that stands for in a wee minute. Which stands for Rotterdam, Umeå and Glasgow Generating Exemplar Demonstrations in Sustainable Energy Deployment. So I can't take credit for that. That was my boss, Gavin Slater, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. Everybody seems to love that though. It rolls off the tongue, RUGGEDISED. So 3 lighthouse cities, Rotterdam, Umeå and Glasgow is the 3 lighthouse cities. And then also 3 follower cities, Brno, Parma and Gdansk. So across the whole consortium, we have 34 partners, 7 of which are our Glasgow partners. So if I can remember them all if they're not up there, Glasgow City Council is obviously one of them. We have Transport Scotland, who are here today, Scottish Power Energy Networks, Siemens, Tennent's Caledonian Brewery. We're the only project across Europe that's managed to get a brewery into it. I don't know what that says about us. The University of Strathclyde and Glasgow Housing Association. I think that's all 7. I'll remember if one comes back to me later on. So I'll talk to you a wee bit about our project. So basically, all 3 lighthouse cities have got the same kind of vision for a smart, sustainable city for the future. So our project started in 2016 in November and kicked off in Rotterdam. And this is the Mayor of Rotterdam. He came to support us and open the event for us. I won't read out everything that he said to you, but all the cities have a common vision. They want to move forward and be sustainable, smart cities. Umeå is the other lighthouse city. They are based in Sweden. They obviously are looking to develop a smart, sustainable district as well. So what I should say is we're all awarded funding for creating a smart district within our cities. So Rotterdam will do a Heart of South district, so they're redeveloping a huge area in Rotterdam, and RUGGEDISED will add to the development they're doing already to incorporate renewable energy and kind of smart technology. Umeå is the same. They're creating a smart university district. And one of the things that they're actually focusing on that's probably of interest for people here today is they have a fully electrified bus fleet in Umeå. But one of the problems that they have is every time they open the doors in the winter, obviously the temperature on the bus plummets because it can reach minus 30 degrees in Umeå. So we obviously think it's quite cold here at the moment, and they're having real serious, real cold weather, not minus 5 and things, minus 30. So they are looking at actually creating electric vehicle charging hubs where they can have a controlled temperature within the bus stations. So when the buses dock, when they pick up passengers, they're not losing an extreme amount of heat out of the buses, so they're not putting as much strain on the battery to keep their buses heated. And then Glasgow, obviously Glasgow's the other lighthouse city. We are looking to try and move from our industrial past to a sustainable future, and continue to grow and develop as a sustainable city. So this infographic, I'm not sure actually how clear it is, details the cities. We have various smart solutions in each of the cities. In Glasgow we have 10 smart solutions, so there's a commonality across all of the cities where we're all looking at smart thermal grids, we're looking at smart electric grids and e-mobility, and we're also looking at energy management and ICT. So that's the common theme across all of our cities. The follower cities as well, they don't yet know what solutions they will actually implement, but they'll look to us as the lighthouse cities to see what works in our cities, and then they'll look and they'll deploy things that they like in their own cities. So I'm not going to read out this exceptionally wordy slide to you, but our main kind of challenging solutions in Glasgow, we have to tackle the ageing infrastructure in the city, fuel poverty is quite a major issue in Glasgow that we need to look at tackling, and also air quality, as Lawrence already mentioned. We really need to look at the air quality within all of our cities. Glasgow has quite a bad record or bad reputation with its air quality, and that's one of the really big things that we need to focus on in the city. So for today, I suppose for this particular event, the things that I thought would be of most interest is points 2 and 3. So increase electric vehicle charging infrastructure within the city. That's something that we really need to look to do to obviously improve our air quality, and obviously as well demonstrate that electric vehicle charging, intelligent street lighting. Obviously Elizabeth's just spoken about street lighting, and we're looking at integrating charging points into our street lighting as well, and how that can be incorporated into our street lights and our central management systems and communications network as a whole. So we've got our 10 smart solutions, as I've mentioned already. Again, I'm not going to read all this out to you. We're looking at business models for connecting various district heating systems in the city. So the likes of our partners at the University of Strathclyde have actually just installed, or in the process of installing, a £16 million district heating network. Now, for those of you who know Glasgow, I'll bring up a map in a minute and just show you our district, but Glasgow City Council is right next to the University of Strathclyde, so we're right across the road. So it makes sense for us to look at potentially connecting the city chambers onto the University of Strathclyde. So that's one of the things that I'll touch on a wee bit later when I bring the map up. But I suppose, again, the bit highlighted in red is probably of most importance to you here today, the bit I'll focus on, which is we want to expand our network of electric vehicles within the city of Glasgow, because at the moment it's fairly low-key and certainly not a patch on Dundee's, which is fairly spectacular. And obviously the ICT solutions as well. So this is our district. For those of you who know Glasgow, George Square is up on the left-hand side there, Glasgow City Council Chambers Complex, University of Strathclyde, and the Smart Street will run right along to the east end of Glasgow at the old meat market site just past Tennant's Brewery. So everything there with the red outline you can see is our district. All the yellow dots, I'm really not sure how well you can see that at the back, all the yellow dots are our intelligent streetlights that will be deployed in the district. And as you can see here, I've circled the EV charging hub. So our EV charging hub is at Duke Street. It's Duke Street car park. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that multi-storey car park there. It's about a 5-minute walk right into the city centre. There's this kind of, I don't know, it's kind of an underutilised car park at the moment, I would say, mainly because people have this idea that once they cross High Street, that they're out of the city somehow. I don't know, it's 5 minutes right to George Square, and it's a kind of a strange kind of mentality. So we're looking at creating an electric vehicle charging hub in the multi-storey car park there. So the arrow points there to the M8 motorway, which we're looking to create a charging hub so users of the motorway can actually know that it's there, can nip in, get a cup of coffee, connect to a rapid charger and be on their way in 20 minutes. That's our kind of vision. It's maybe a bit controversial because obviously Elizabeth's just said, you don't want to encourage too many vehicles into the city, but at the same time you do need to have the infrastructure there for people to use electric vehicles. So I didn't create this diagram. So wait till you see the next one, it's even more dazzling. So basically, to talk you through what the charging hub will look like, the University of Strathclyde have actually done some modelling for us. So the charging hub will have a solar canopy on the top of it. That's how we'll be charging our electric vehicles. It will have a 200 kilowatt solar canopy on the top. That will be connected to a 500 kilowatt battery. The battery will have an approximate kind of footprint of 40 square foot. It will be connected into the battery, and I'll touch on the cars in a wee second. You can see to the solar panels up there. To the left-hand side of that, there's the kind of yellow diagram there. That's actually ducted wind turbines. So we were looking at installing ducted wind turbines as well on the roof to also generate energy. But what we found from the modelling was if we installed the ducted wind turbines, they would actually cause significant shading onto the solar canopy. So we actually were at a loss there. So we were more beneficial without the ducted wind turbines because of the loss for generation there. So solar will be stored in the battery. You can see that arrow goes one way down. Obviously our electric vehicles there are connected to the battery, and you can see that arrow goes both ways. Now what we're hoping is, and we're doing a lot of work at the moment with Transport Scotland, with Jamie and the team, and with Siemens as well, we're looking to see whether or not we can actually take some of the battery power from the electric vehicles to balance the large-scale battery if needs be to support the grid. Not so much to support the grid, we're actually trying to use everything locally. But what I didn't mention earlier on was that we're also going to be putting domestic batteries across the road in the dry gate. So if I just click back one, the dry gate that you can see there is an area of quite high fuel poverty. So what we're looking to do, they've got is high-rise flats there. They'll have electric storage in them, electric storage heaters, which are very inefficient. So we're looking to see whether we can put in domestic batteries there as well, whether they'll be small-scale batteries that will be individual houses, or whether or not that will be a large-scale battery that will be for community use. And then we'll also have the battery across the road at the electric vehicle charging hub. So what we're looking to do is, it might be in times of high demand, to alleviate some of the fuel poverty across the road, that potentially we can actually take some of the energy from the batteries in the cars and actually sleeve it across to the batteries. So it'll be like a virtual connection there. It won't be actually privately wired, it'll be a virtual connection. But as I say, it's all very early stages. We're investigating this. This is why we've got the money from the European Commission to look at all the different options that we can use. One of the biggest challenges we'll probably come across is actually electric vehicle car users and how they feel about that. They'll obviously need to be able to pre-program the amount of charge that they need in their vehicle when they come in. So we need to look at systems in which we can do that as well. So they need to be able to come in and say, I need 80% to be able to do the rest of my journey home, or I need 80% or 20% or 30%. So you must charge my car to that point. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking at the moment. So it's very exciting, very interesting. It'll be very interesting to see how the electric vehicle users take to that as well, and how they feel about that. And again, then we've obviously looked at Dundee and seen how successful the taxi hub's been in Dundee. And really what we would like is, if we create the charging infrastructure, we really want to look at our taxis as well in the city, moving over to become an electric vehicle taxi fleet. But at the moment, there's not the infrastructure there for them to use that. But again, then we need to think about how the electric vehicle private car owners, how is that going to be conflicted then if that's also an electric vehicle taxi hub? So who takes priority if the taxis need to come in and get a charge straight away to go and do their next journey, but there's private users there that want to park for the day? Are we going to introduce a valet system? How will that work? So these are all the things that we're looking at and the things that we're exploring at the moment. I should also mention as well at the moment that Elizabeth had touched on it again. It's really interesting to see the Oxford project because our charging in the city is free at the moment, and I think it will remain that way for the foreseeable future. We had to actually have a change in our policy though within Glasgow City Council, because the electric vehicle charge points, charge bays that we had in the city, cars were coming into those charge points because they used to be free to park. So people were coming and parking there all day, where every other car parking space in the city is, you get charged for it. So now we've had to change our policy, and you get charged to park, but you don't get charged for your electricity. So that was basically, I think it may have been, I think there may or may not have been some big companies advertising their beautiful cars, their beautiful electric vehicles that sat there all day in the exact same spaces, and unfortunately the private car users couldn't get into them, so we had to have a change in policy. So that's where we're at the moment. I will then touch on the I'm conscious of my time, and I know that I'm standing between everybody and a coffee and a mince pie, so I will try and go as quickly as possible. So this is our kind of whole system. This is the diagram that was on the previous slide. We'll have a demand-side management controller that's been developed by Siemens as well as our other partner, and all that will feed into our smart street communications network, which will actually go around, will be integrated into our intelligent streetlights. We had previously in Glasgow been awarded funding from the Technology Strategy Board for a Future Cities project. So that was £24 million that we got between 2013 and 2015 to look at lots of different ICT in the city. And what we found from that was that we have a lot of open data in the city at the moment, as many cities do. We have a lot of information out there, but at the moment we're maybe not using that data in a way that's most fitting for the city. So we want to be able to take the data that we have already and the data from the smart street and actually look at putting that. We're creating a database decision platform, so that's uniform across all the cities within the RUGGEDISED project. We're all creating these platforms that we can look at the data we've got, and it will be a kind of query-based system where we can say how many electric vehicles came into the city and we're unable to get a charge. So that will be quite advanced. I don't know exactly how that will work at this point in time. It's not my area of expertise. But that's the kind of thing we're looking to do so that we can actually inform future planning and decision-making processes in the city, so that we can say, right, well, that electric vehicle charging hub works well there, but there's actually a very high demand for that. So we now need to look at and putting one elsewhere in the city because there's more demand now over there and we've got the information on that. So that's really what we're looking to do, take all the data we've got and actually use it to inform our planning in the city moving forward. So I'll just wrap up quite quickly. These are our project deliverables. This is where we're up to at the moment. As I say, we started in November 2016. It's a 5-year project across the 34 partners. We were awarded €17.5 million, split between 34. At the moment, these are our deliverables that we have in Glasgow. Month 17 is fast approaching, where we're looking at the business models between connecting different systems. For example, connecting University of Strathclyde onto Glasgow City Council, potentially connecting Tennants Brewery, who I've not actually mentioned yet, onto the Drygate Flats, as well as another method of alleviating fuel poverty. So that's our kind of first deliverable. It's month 17, so that's April. And then as we progress up to 2021, this is our kind of timeline. I'll wrap up there because I could go on and on forever about this. So thank you. If you want any more about the project, my contact details are there, and also my boss Gavin Slater, for those of you who know him. You can look at our website, which is www.ruggedised EU, for more information, and sign up for our newsletters there as well, and Twitter and LinkedIn as well. So I'm aware I've kind of rattled through that quite quickly, but very conscious of mince pies. So if anyone's got any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
So only at the E-cosse forum do we go from St John's College, Oxford to Tennants Brewery in Glasgow. Right, to bring you those different perspectives. So yeah, does anyone have a question for Christine?
Who will actually own the car park? Will it be council owned or is it private?
So most of the car parks in the city are actually privately owned, so it's actually city parking. So they actually lease, we have a long-term lease on the car park. It's not council owned though, but the council leases that car park, and it's the same for a lot of car parks, but a lot of them are privately owned. What we have to be able to prove, and what we'll look at business cases to do, is actually prove that when this one's successful, that it's actually beneficial for the car park owners. So if we create an electric vehicle charging hub there, and then there's increased use there, we're looking at a valet system. There's also a new hotel being built next to this particular car park. There'll actually be some profit in it. So for the private multi-storey car park owners, we can then go to them and say, this is the business case, this is how it works, and this is what you could also achieve.
Any more questions?
I just want to, June Graham from Scotland, Beautiful Sustainable Scotland Network. Yeah. I just wondered if there's another aspect to this around, you mentioned fuel poverty, but Sustrans report on the transport poverty and sort of the public side of it, like funding around electric buses, maybe we'll hear more about that this afternoon, but that aspect?
For this project specifically, no, and I suppose that's because our deliverables are quite tightly controlled, so we get given money by the European Commission and we have to tick a lot of boxes, so we have to deliver what we've said we would deliver, and it's not that we're not aware of all those things that are going on outside the project, and we have people in the council that work on lots of different things, and we feed our project into lots of different networks and things that are ongoing as well at the same time. So for the RUGGEDISED project specifically, no. However, that is something that we're considering in the wider council.
And one final question?
Just wanted to ask, you talked a little bit about how EV drivers would respond. Yes. Have you got a way of measuring that? Have you doing any sort of focus groups at all?
Yeah, so one of the kind of big things with the project as well is stakeholder engagement, and at the moment we're kind of drafting a stakeholder engagement plan and trying to think about ways in which we'll engage with different stakeholders, not just the EV users, also the local community. They need to know what's happening, how this will be of benefit to them, is it going to disrupt them. So at this point in time we don't have a kind of hard fast method of how we will engage with the EV users. Probably look to Transport Scotland for quite a lot of support, to be honest. But yeah, that's something that we're developing as we go on, and we'll also obviously talk to the network of partners within the whole of the RUGGEDISED consortium and see if they have past experience of such a thing.
Right. Thank you very much. So if you could just join me one more time to give